Pardon me. All right, there we go. All right, want to get back on here and talk about a couple topics real quick. Want to get into UFC 250. Manny Nunes had a dominating performance over Felicia Spencer. What's going on, Ryan? And then let's talk about what's going on in the NFL right now. What's going on with Roger Goodell, his statement, and how that has affected the landscape of football right now. So first, let me touch on the UFC event this Saturday, UFC 50. The main headliner, Manny Nunes against Felicia Spencer. Manny Nunes was 19-4 coming into this fight. Felicia Spencer, the challenger, was 8-1. And then there was a pretty good co-main event with Rafael, I'm not going to butcher his last name, and Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt's a really good fighter, trying to get back on track after the whole debacle with the Dillashaw fights and all the controversy that came out of that with Dillashaw testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. So good to see him get back on track. He got a nice stoppage, KO stoppage in round 2, 4 minutes 59 seconds. And Manny Nunes, I didn't see the main event live, but I saw highlights, I saw clips, I heard all the reaction on social media and whatnot, and she had a dominating performance. It went 5 rounds to decision, but Manny dominated. Now, from the few highlights that I saw of Felicia, not extremely talented, doesn't have the athletic gifts that Manny Nunes or some of the other elite fighters in that division have, like Holly Holmes or Misha Tate in her prime, or Chris Cyborg. But she's a tough fighter, somebody that's always going to be in front of you, and you can't make foolish mistakes against her. But to me, even just looking at highlights of Felicia, and I hadn't really heard of her before that, I just saw the highlights, and in my mind, it seemed like a stay busy fight. She is going to be a person that's going to be in front of you, be a tough opponent, but she wasn't in the same class as Nunes or some of the fighters that I mentioned that Manny Nunes has fought. So I wasn't surprised by the outcome of this fight. It was a good stay busy fight for Manny Nunes because she has fought all the top competition, and let's be honest, there's really not much out there right now unless it's a rematch with some of her previous opponents, most namely Chris Cyborg. So it was good to see her get a good win here. I don't know what the next events for UFC are going to be. UFC 251, I will make sure that I cover that. And I would expect there... Oh, yeah, the other big thing is, and he's done this multiple times before, I don't know how valid it's going to be this time, but Conor McGregor, the same night of the fight, announced his retirement from the UFC, put out a statement thanking his fans and his family and wishing everybody well. Now, there's plenty of reasons as to why he chose to do that. I don't know at what point he is in his life right now. There's a lot of stiff competition at his weight class between Ferguson and Khabib. He would have to probably eventually run into Khabib again, obviously. And then Tony Ferguson, I think I'm getting his name right. I don't know if he's the ground specialist, but he's really good. He's really good. So there's a lot of stiff competition there. So who knows what he does moving forward, but he has had a very good career, and he's changed the landscape, not just of UFC, but of sports. He's had that type of impact. So, hats off to him. Hopefully he has success in all his endeavors, including his own personal whiskey brand. So that's what's going on with that. That being said, let me hop over to the NFL, and let's get right to addressing the elephant in the room. Roger Goodell's public address and apology over the way the NFL handled not just the Colin Kaepernick situation 3 years ago, but just the way that they addressed the topic of social injustice in the black community as a whole. And he came out, and I didn't listen to the whole statement, the whole speech, but I got the gist of it. And in a nutshell, he just said, look, we got it wrong. We didn't foresee... This is just me giving my own spin on it. We didn't foresee this playing out the way it did. We did not foresee a pandemic hitting us this year, and then an event like the one that happened with George Floyd igniting the powder keg. We did not foresee it bringing back all the old skeletons that we tried to push under the rug, most namely blackballing Colin Kaepernick for taking a knee in protest of events such as the one that we witnessed all over social media with a guy getting killed with a knee on his throat. And now something like that happens, and that just brings that ugly black eye of Colin Kaepernick getting banned for protesting events like this to the forefront. And now, instead of addressing this 3 years ago and actually looking the issue dead in the eye, instead of trying to cater to their immediate market of fans that, let's be honest, just some do not care about the issues of police brutality, but a lot of people do care, but they just don't want to hear about it during their football game. There's two subsets of people when it comes to those that don't want to hear about it during a football game. It's those that don't care about the issues, and those who do care, but just don't want you to infringe upon their sanctuary of football on Sunday afternoon. And they catered towards those fans and wanted to make sure their money wasn't messed up, make sure those dollar bills are right, instead of actually doing what they should have done and actually come out and address this issue before. Now they're having to deal with it now, and it's times 100. Now you really look bad, and now you're probably going to lose money now, because not only are black people and people of color pissed off at you, but now the people that didn't want it to infringe upon their game before, now they don't have anything to look at, and now all their attention is directed towards the issue at hand. There's no football on Sundays to distract them. There's no baseball on Tuesday or Thursday night to distract them. There's no bars open where they can just go out and just chill and talk to their buddies to distract them. There's no work to go to where they're not thinking about sports from 9 to 5 to distract them. All the focus is on the issue at hand. So now you're really in a way tougher spot than you would have been before. And that's why you address things the way you should at that time, because you cannot foresee circumstances that may happen that may have been that you did not account for. So, look, obviously, I don't care about the apology. We know what you did, why you did it. If you really want to make a statement, go ahead and sign Colin Kaepernick to a team. And it's not even about football at this point to me. At this point, he's already made his mark as a football player and as a figure on social issues. This is just to say that, look, we were wrong, we messed up. Let's see what this guy can do representing the NFL shield on and off the field at this point. How about that? And until that happens, Roger Goodell's words will ring hollow. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and let's talk about it. But that's my thoughts on the situation with the NFL and Roger Goodell's apology. And I would have the same feeling. I have the same feeling when it comes to Drew Brees and his apology about the statements he made. And to me, I have to put up this episode to YouTube. Me and Krista Cass from Playmakers Radio, we talked about this in an episode that was pre-recorded that I have to put out. But I don't think that Drew Brees is a racist. I just think that Drew Brees has an extremely enormous blind spot when it comes to political issues and how people express them. And whenever it comes down to anything with the military or the flag, people like Drew Brees just have their blinders on, like a horse, like a racehorse. Like a racehorse can see straight ahead, but with those eye shields on the side, they cannot see anything in the periphery. Excuse me. It's not about the issue. It's that you're saying it in a way that they feel disrespect something that means a lot to them on a personal level, and they can't separate the two. Similar in to the way that some people can't separate a great musician from the things that they do in their personal life. Like, they will, for if they like their music, they won't like their music after they do something bad. Like, it will have nothing to do with how talented of a musician they are, because they did X, Y, or Z. Now all of a sudden they don't like their music. Nah, you can still like their music. It has nothing to do with the person. There's a lot of crappy people, musicians, poets, you name it, go down the list, that have done horrible things in their lifetime, but that has nothing to do with their art and their talent. So, inversely, that's at least the way I see the protest, and the way a lot of people see it, but the way that some people cannot separate the two. And Drew Brees has this huge blind spot where he cannot separate, he cannot come to understand that the flag means something different to another person than it does to him. Like he mentioned, his grandfathers fought in World War II for a lot of rights and freedoms that we all appreciate today, and that's very true. But so did a lot of people of color, not just black people, Japanese Americans. And last time I checked, black Americans, when they got back from Europe following V-Day, VE Day, excuse me, they still had to eat in segregated places of business. They still had to sit. They still had to sit at the back of the bus. They still had to drink from separate water fountains. Now, last time I checked, Japanese Americans were forced out of their homes and put into internment camps, and had their possessions that they worked years and years for, that were acquired through generations. They were just suddenly wiped out and taken away from them, and they were given no apology. They were given no reprieve. That didn't happen to German Americans. We were fighting the Nazis, but I didn't see German Americans getting turned, but we were fighting the Japanese, but I saw Japanese Americans getting turned and isolated from their families. So there has been a history of racism in this country. It's what we were built upon, it's what we were founded upon. And you have to embrace the good with the bad. So even though the flag may mean something sacred to Drew Brees, it doesn't mean the same thing to other people. Now, I take pride in the flag, but I also am aware of the ugly that comes with the flag as well. And to be honest, the flag, and this might upset people, the flag's a fucking piece of cloth. It's not about the flag, it's about the values that you hold inherently true to that piece of fabric. Somebody could have came up with a design with I don't know, a parrot with two muskets in each hand. It might be silly to some, but to other people, it might represent freedom and liberty. If that was the case of that being the symbol that was put on the flag back during revolutionary times, it's all about the meaning that you put towards a flag, or the meaning you put towards a picture or a logo or representation, not necessarily the tangible piece of cloth itself. And that's what some people don't understand, and maybe will never understand. There's some people that you just won't get through to, and that's okay. But for Drew Brees to really, like I said, I don't not like Drew Brees as a person, but and his actions in his lifetime have shown that I think that he does care about other people that don't have the same life experiences that he does. But I just think that he has a very big blind spot there, and in the words of Jeffrey Lurie, in regards to Chip Kelly, he's emotionally unintelligent in that aspect of his life. So hopefully he finds understanding and clarity, and that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think about that. That's really what's going on with the NFL right now. Besides that, the NBA is coming back, I believe, July 22nd. Either way, even if I have the date wrong, doesn't make a difference. There's going to be a 22-team format. The last 8 teams are going to be left out of it. I don't know if they're going to have a mandatory training camp or what the case may be, but the top 22 teams will be playing the final 8 games of their season, of what's left on their schedule, and then we'll have a playoff, which is pretty cool. And I'll be curious to see how the Sixers do if they're going to play all 8 of their games. From my understanding, if there are teams that won't be playing. Like if one of those 8 teams is on your schedule once, twice, or 3 times, maybe you only play 7, 6, or 5 games, right? Because three of those teams, one to three of those teams won't be playing. So I'll be curious how that affects the schedules of each of these 22 teams. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm curious to see how the MLB play. NHL plays out with the 2014 playoff format, and then the MLB. There's just a counter proposal for, I can't remember how many games, maybe it was 85 games, but they've been going back and forth, the owners and the players, trying to come to some resolution on how many games are going to be played and how much money the players are going to get paid. And they just haven't seen eye to eye or came to agreement yet on that. And they're at a point where baseball has been waning in popularity over the past decade to 2 decades, and they really need to get this right, because maybe if this happened in 85, everybody would be in an uproar, like, get it figured out now. But in 2020, people were just like, do I even watch baseball anymore? Oh, what's going to happen with the NBA playoffs? Like, they really need to focus on playing baseball and continuing to try to repopularize the game, because they're just going to lose more fans by not having a season. If the only thing that's going to be on is basketball, then people are going to forget about that. Hell, hockey is not even the most popular sport in this country, but it might become more popular since it's going to be one of the only 2 sports on this summer. And baseball is not here, and baseball's prime time is in summer. So it's not a good look for them one way or another. So they need to get this sorted out. Those are the things I had to talk about today. I'm keeping it very brief. I'm trying to work on that, because when it comes to sports and I start running my mouth, good luck stopping me. But that's it for now. I plan to have another podcast up probably this Thursday or Friday, depending on if there's any breaking news in the NFL or NBA. I will be uploading that video that I mentioned earlier here, the pre-recorded video where we were talking about the NBA in depth and all the details behind the restart of the season and the playoff scenarios. So that being said, hope you guys are being safe. I hope you're enjoying your night, and hey, no matter what's going on in life, remember to smile. As always, I appreciate y'all. Catch you on the flip side. Peace.